Hello, it's me again. First things first, I want to ask you all a question. How much time do you think I could stand coding my crappy game without following another tutorial? If you guessed infinity because I'm a programming god and I don't need anyone's help, you couldn't be much more wrong. But if I actually knew everything about programming in the first place, then I would have made Minecraft 2 by now and probably this channel wouldn't even exist. But here I am, and it might be better to learn from different people and actually follow the tutorials anyway, just to get a hint of how to do things properly. But before we move on to another episode of me suffering, I wanted to thank you guys for the support. It might seem like nothing compared to other channels, but I still appreciate it a lot, because I know that at least you guys see something interesting in my crappy videos, whether it is the background gameplay, the memes, or my suffering. Whatever it is that brought you here, thanks for staying. Fun fact, my stomach growled while recording this part. If you want me to eat, please sub. Enough of self-promotion. The goal for today's video was getting a decent enemy AI down. Nothing fancy, just a simple little pathfinding algorithm, I thought. Did I just say simple? At first, I tried to do it on my own. Never mind. Then I watched RGME's video on Pac-Man Ghost AI. Great video, by the way. Props to you, man. After watching it, I got inspired and started coding. The idea was simple. The enemy has 4 collision points, top, bottom, left and right, which are activated depending on its direction. Say he's moving to the right. So we check if there's collision on the right. If there is, then choose another direction. And you might be thinking to yourself, what will the next direction be? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let me introduce you to the direction hierarchy, which has the following directions: right, up, down, and left, in that specific order. So if the enemy that was moving to the right touches a wall, bam! Now he should move up, if there are no blocks above him, obviously. Also, I think it's worth noting that this is a target-based system, so the enemy you see on screen actually follows an invisible target located about here. With that said, I added the rest of the directions to the system, and after fixing a bug in which the enemies literally pass through walls, I got it working somewhat well. Quick note, I also changed the code to check for 2 collision points instead of 1, because if the enemy happened to not collide about here, which is logical, then it will look like it trespassed a wall in normal gameplay, and this gets fixed with 2 points of collision. But then I ran into real trouble. To put it in simple terms, let's say the enemy collides with an upper wall and there's no other choice than to go down. But now it gets to a point in which moving upwards is an option because there is no collision on the top. So, following our hierarchy, the enemy will move up until it collides, and then down, and then up, and so on. So yeah, I was very pissed off by this issue, and I wanted to quit because even with all of the research I put into this, I couldn't find a solution. Not even with A-star pathfinding, so I might as well declare this as over. So, instead of digging deeper into it, I basically gave enemies their old functionality. Move from left to right, and whenever they find a wall, switch direction. I'm definitely not proud about this change, but I realized that even with enemy AI down, I still had a lot of stuff to do. Levels, score, high score since this is an arcade style game, and maybe some sort of power-ups or something. Knowing that, I got to work and made another level, which you can access after collecting all of the gems in the previous one, aka winning. It was easier than I thought. My system might not be the finest, but what I did was make the other level right next to the first one, and if the player wins, then the map gets drawn starting from the next level the player has reached. Yeah, the map basically offsets whenever you complete a level. How clever, right? By the way, as you can see on the video, there are these weird enemy tiles, which do what you're probably thinking they do. That is, spawning enemies. They weren't that hard to implement. Oh shit, I just made the game check if a tile was a spawner, and if it was, then spawn an enemy. And afterwards replace the enemy tile with an empty tile. Simple, right? Well, let me tell you, if we delete the tile, what if the player gets back to level 1? Since this is an arcade game, there will be no enemies because we modified the spawner tile. And I mean, if I was doing a crappy .exe game ripoff, that'll work like a charm. But this game is serious enough for now. So instead of replacing the tile, I made the game check for these tiles after drawing the map, and if there is a spawner, draw a black sprite over it. But not so fast. See, in Pico Weight black is used as the default transparency color. So if I just drew a black square over my enemy tiles, they would still be visible cause black's transparent. So in order to fix this, I set the transparency of black to false before drawing the square and then set it back to true after drawing it so that other sprites keep their transparency. And it worked. Alright. Enough for today. So far, the game's looking strong, and I really didn't think I'll get this far in such a little time, without taking into account that pesky enemy AI trouble, of course. Anyways, I'm still learning. Be patient, and if by any means you know some way to implement enemy AI in Pico 8, please leave a comment. It'll be of huge help and I highly appreciate it. Without anything else to yap about, I'm done. See you in the next one, guys. Bye with River.